Professor Stephanie Paulsell has a particular type of genius. We know that she is, to borrow a phrase from our colleague Amy Hollywood, wicked smart. Read one of her 3 books, The Scope of Art, The Vocation of the Theological Teacher, Honoring the Body, Meditations on a Christian Practice, or Lamentations in the Song of Songs, the theological commentary that she co-authored with Harvey Cox. And you will witness her interpretive ability and keen theological mind jump from the pages. But there is something that makes Professor Stephanie Paulsell qualitatively different than other smart folk. It's a particular type of genius that reflects levels of love, empathy, and insight into the human condition that are all marks of wisdom. I am not sure where it comes from or how it developed. Maybe it comes from being the daughter of a theology professor and former seminary president. Her childhood dinner table was both a veritable classroom full of curious seminary students extending their learning experience over a meal, as well as a space of grace, welcoming those who did not readily have access to friendship and family. Maybe it comes from her ministerial training and her pastoral development that took place in the interreligious context of the University of Chicago while pursuing her PhD. Or maybe it took place during her years in the trenches of theological education, working with the Lilly Fellows Program, the Wabash Center on Teaching and Learning, or within her own denomination, where she is ordained in the Christian Church Disciples of Christ. Whatever the source, the result is unmistakable. We have a colleague, we are blessed with a colleague that stands at the forefront of ministry studies in this country because she thinks with her heart and feels so deeply with her mind. Let's consider the category of spiritual formation. For her, her brilliant insight is not just an extracurricular activity. Spiritual formation cannot be reduced to that which is tied to field education or engaging in other forms of ritualized practice that we may deem as sacred. But rather, Professor Paulsell teaches and models the ways we can reimagine the quotidian academic activities as always and already spiritually formative. When we, as faculty members, attend to the thoughts and ideas of others, encourage our students to enter into passionate yet respectful dialogue, and when we seek to interrogate and expand ways of knowing, our lives indeed take shape. But more importantly, we help to foster the conditions for our students to fall in love with ideas and gravitate toward ultimate concerns and perennial existential questions that have stitched humanity together from time immemorial. This, my dear friends, is so necessary in the world that we live in. It helps her to see flickers of potentiality and the light of grace even among the darkest hours, looking for love in things that can be seen as well as admiring love even when it's hidden. The way she wrote so eloquently in her regular column of the Christian Century immediately following the Boston bombing. Alongside the terrible losses was the quiet work of love that inspired others who gave of themselves in such heroic and courageous ways. That which is not readily seen, but yet is still experienced. This is the gift she passes on to our students. Hope in the unseen, devotion in the task of religious studies. This is why, as one of our second-year students put it, Professor Paulsell exemplifies everything that makes HDS special. She's kind, she's committed to academic rigor, and is available with an ear and a heart. With that said, I introduce to you the Houghton Professor of the Practice of Ministry Studies, an affiliated minister in Harvard's Memorial Church, Reverend Dr. Stephanie Paulsell.